Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers 2. And today we want to test out some destruction with several pieces or blocks. So let's get started. Alright, so we last built our ship and now we can get ready to play around with destruction. And a bit of a Space Engineers 2 experiment for you guys. And from the last video, we built our first ship, which is a relatively small ship. As you see here, we kind of just crashed them in here. And it's basically this ship right here. I did add 2 more thrusters here just to get the maximum impact I can get out of it going forward. And we just kind of lined this thing up here, like so. And then we just backed it up as much as we can. Let's say probably up to 100 meters per second. That's when I'm going to stop. Right there, and then we'll go forward. This time I'm going to do a little bit of a third-person view here, and hopefully we'll reach close to 300. No, around 200, and crashing there. Okay, so we needed a lot more space to reach a certain distance. So one of the main reasons why I did build the ship with the long nose like this here was for an impact without destroying the cockpit immediately. So in this case, it looks like it kind of worked out pretty well. So with that all done, in terms of the destruction piece for now, let's just do a few quick little tests to see the destruction properties of some blocks. I'm just gonna add this here as a starting base. So there's a bit of a difference when it comes to destruction, I believe. We can start on a smaller scale here. So even though this is a unified grid system, I believe if we did it this way, right? So instead of one large block there, we're gonna put in several smaller blocks here. And then crash into that and see what the damage properties are compared to a larger version of it. Is it the same destruction, separate destruction, and so forth, right? So basically from here is the cutoff of the block. And we're just trying to crash right into here and see how it breaks. Will it break in pieces by 5 centimeters per piece, or it's gonna do a little bit more of a whole breakage in that case? I'm not sure. So we'll back it up. It's quite a small target, so I hope I'm gonna be able to hit this, but we're gonna try our best to hit 300 meters per second, which is probably a little hard to do because we definitely need more space. So about 160 meters per second going backwards, maybe can net us 300 going forward before we have impact, and it looks like that may be the case. And we are still able to fly this thing. Okay, so that broke in a really interesting pattern. It looks like it did break based on the 5 centimeter pieces here. So if I even add these back, you'll see that grows back on there. Okay, so that is an interesting take there. And we'll throw in the regular 2.5 meter block there, and then we'll enlist another ship for this project. Oh, that's actually funny. Every time I place down that broken ship, it just makes that crashing noise. That's very interesting. All right, brand new ship. Line up the nose, and that was hitting it at pretty much maximum speed. So I don't know if we want to keep doing the maximum speed, because that eventually will, yeah, technically just break everything. Yeah, we'll back it up from here. We'll try to do a little bit slower and see what the damage looks like, but ultimately we'll be able to see how it looks anyways. I think in terms of how it breaks, it is going to be a 2.5 meter block versus a 0.5 meter block in that case. So it is going to look very different in terms of damage, I would think. But we're going to hit the max speed and crash into that little bit of a sliver of a block and see what happens now. Right, I completely came off of the ship, so that is actually pretty interesting on its own. And let's look at the damage here. So it breaks off basically based on the size of the block they put down. So even if you put down the 0.25 meter blocks, it'll just break like that as well. So that makes a lot of sense because it's the block you're putting down. So I think anything that's about what 20 meters per second, it doesn't cause any damage. So I think 30 can potentially cause some damage. Yep, right there. As you see there. So it causes that kind of significant damage in terms of a full block. Again, if we went a little bit slower and did it a whole bunch of 0.5 meter block, not 2.5. So this 5 centimeter block, I think it's called, more or less. Here we go. So that kind of disguises it as it's like a 2.5 meter block, but it's not. It's a smaller block there. So if I crashed into it by, say, whatever speed that was, it's a bit of an indent there, but it breaks slightly different from the large grid pieces there, 2.5. So you see a little bit of a sliver kind of just missing there for whatever reasons. So hitting it at faster speeds, you see it actually smashes it in a little bit more than if I were to smash right in here. It kind of makes that bigger indent, right? That's what it seems like it's doing. So if I crash into this a little bit more, I think the impact is a little bit different. Like just battering ram this thing. Yeah, it's much more solid when it comes to the 2.5, as you see here. I'm pretty much banging it. Ooh, it finally broke off, but big difference in terms of damage there. All right, we're gonna fix that, and of course, why not try it? The infinite 0.25 meter block or 25 centimeter block. So we'll just put in a whole bunch right over here. All right, now it's time to test to see if a 25 centimeter block breaks in a very similar fashion, which I highly doubt. So we're gonna do a close-up test right about here. But actually, before we do that, right, so we just had to copy the grid a little bit, but it should be fine. All right, so a closer damage right over, yeah, about close to 30 meter damage point here. What's it looking like? It's kind of looking like the 0.5 meter block. So that's interesting. We'll go a little bit further back, of course, and test that out. Yeah, it kind of breaks like a 0.5 meter block, but it is also very particular too. Interesting how that works. All right, so with that destruction done, we did the bit of a smaller scale test in terms of meters per second. Let's see how well this is gonna fare at 300 meters per second. Will it shatter into little tiny pieces? Yes, no, I don't know. But I did like the damage from the 0.5 meter block. That looks pretty good as well. Full speed ahead. Hope for the best. I want to see it all kind of splatter and just go everywhere. That'd be awesome. But let's see. That lagged like crazy. Alright, so that knocked off the whole thing. It damaged the cockpit significantly. So I think I see it right there actually. So all that smoke going through there is insane. Like, how would you be able to breathe in there? But it knocked off all the 25 centimeter block, as you see here. So it's just a full block that's left here. So that is an interesting take there. All right, so now we can jump into something and somewhat of a favorite of mine. And you may have seen this in our Space Engineers 1 challenges and also crash testing and everything like that. And it is basically crashing into window pane. So we have the ability to do multiple panes here. And what I mean by that is panes back to back. So we can just put them all back to back directly together and make it a full block. But before we get to that point, let's just try some minor damage testing with a single pane at a slightly shorter distance or crash. So let's say right around here. Probably gonna pick up like 50 meters per second, and that's what happens to the glass, I guess. Just knocks it right out. Okay. Did somewhat of a damage there on the ship, so that's interesting. So it didn't exactly shatter the way I was hoping it to shatter, but I guess if I were to actually fill it all up though, then that would probably make a difference. So I would just do this. Alright, so as you see here, a bunch of windows lined up back to back, and the only way to make it possible is because of this block here. Unfortunately, window panes can't line up back to back on itself, as you see here. You just can't build it off of that, but you can build it off of the block over here in order to make that work. And honestly, the way I pasted this thing down, it might actually be floating. I'm not completely sold on that, but it's possible. Alright, so I don't think we need to go max speed on this, but we could. I don't know if things gonna fly away because they might not be fully on there. Well, we can test it by doing this. Yeah, nothing's happening. Alright, so I think we could basically take a nice little ram at it. So we'll try to hit max speed as always. So I think right around there should be it. Full speed ahead. Hopefully I don't miss. I don't think I will. 3, 2, 1, boom. Ooh. Alright, significant weaker in terms of blocks, which is good. That makes sense. And looks like my ship is gonna fly away, but that's fine. Okay, so knocked out basically all the windows. Hard to see exactly what happened. I wish there was a way I could fly in. Well, I probably can actually. It would be better to be able to see exact damage, but all right, this is what we can do, right? So let's just paste this thing here, and then we'll see if we can line this up. Okay. There we go. I think that's how we're gonna line it up. We'll back it up. Oh, before we do that, let's get ourselves our spectator mode. I think this is probably the best way to do it in terms of seeing the significant damage of what happens here. I guess we'll look at it from this point and angle. We'll grab the ship. Okay, so I may not need to be in the ship, but what I'm gonna do is gonna get my forward thrusters. Oh, I can't tell what's my forward thrusters then. Ooh, okay, we're gonna have to experiment here to see which is what. On and off. Okay, so this one is forward. This one's forward. There you go. We got 5 forward thrusters right there. Okay, so the one marked as F should be a group. And if we're ready, we'll do max speed ahead. We'll jump out because I don't think we need to be in there. And we'll look at the damage once it comes. Alright, so as interesting as that, we just bounced right off. Some of the glass panes just came off. It didn't necessarily just shatter because they're not just straight glass. There's a frame and everything like that, so that kind of makes sense. What other items do we have here? I mean, we could play around with something as crazy as a refinery if we want to go that route. So if I were to build it out here, throw in a refinery, we'll probably sit it upright if anything. Like that. Ooh, I should have saved the blueprint setting instead. Should be alright. I feel like I need 2 of these things now just to make it a bigger crazy explosion. See that? Okay, we'll get this ready. We got this all grouped up right here. Full speed ahead. And we'll take a look at the damage when it comes. Ooh. That just looks amazing. We could do this with also with the panes. The window, not the window panes itself, but these interior walls. I guess they're kind of like panes or panels. But we do interior walls. And we kind of like line it up the same way as we did before with the windows. I feel like it's going to be a similar destruction from the windows. Similar, not specifically, but the same. Yeah, not exactly the same, but very similar aspect of it. That's all bunch of panes right there, or panels, or what's it called? Interior walls. Yeah, interior wall flats. And they got some curves and everything like that too. Is that full block as well in the interior walls? It looks like there is. So you have that one. Oh no, it's not. It's not a full wall. It's a 3-sided piece here. Okay, that's fine. All right, we grabbed this ship. I hope it saved the grouping. It did. Perfect. So we could just easily line this thing up right over here, as we did with everything else. All right, get our grouping here. Full throttle. We're gonna hop off. Check out the damage. That just moved the ship. What? That is insane. That was hilarious, actually. The ship itself just bounced right off of these interior wall panels. That was full speed as well, and it just reflected off. Ooh. It's basically moving the red ship itself instead. So there's... Is it almost indestructible when you line it up like this? That's crazy. Alright, so I'm trying to do some damage to it, but that's interesting. It seems like the interior wall destructions are not really working too well. The ship itself is not even destructing as well. So that's not great, because even if I were to like fly into this, it should break. So my front is not breaking. Are we just like completely indestructible now? What's going on? Okay, how did we just become completely indestructible? I think I need a restart here, because this is seemingly glitched out, I think. Yeah, my ship is not taking any damages anymore. We're just bouncing around. Alright, I'm gonna have to restart. Alright, we are back. We are basically starting from scratch. And I'm thinking maybe I should just do it here instead. Because that'll be a lot funner when I blow things up on that side here. And we're in the clear here. Alright, perfect. So we're going to test this again, but this time, and again, we're going to do it with the panes once again, or the interior walls. I don't know why I keep calling them panes. Basically interior walls. Alright, there we go. We got our setup right here. And if we really, really want to go crazy, we could do this. As a little bit of a targeting system. Okay, we're gonna do a little bit of a slower test first to make sure the damage is still available. There we go. That is what we were looking for in terms of damage. And right there is pretty decent damage when it comes to interior walls. So it looks like it breaks down. Ooh, it shatters the walls a little bit. It's like breaking bricks and stuff like that. I like how that is destructing. That is pretty cool. All right. Okay, we'll crash right into this right over here. That's the plan. Still can't believe we bounced off previously because something happened. All right, we'll go here and we're gonna set up our bit of a camera here. Right, so it's gonna be interesting because if it blows past the panels, it's gonna hit the base station over there. Which is exactly what I wanted anyways. All right, we'll go full speed ahead. Come right off of this. Take a look right here and see what kind of damage we get out of this. Ooh, it did not blow past the panels or interior walls as I kind of was expecting it to do. Ooh, ship is in pretty bad shape. Ooh. I can pull it out. So yeah, so the nose of the ship is where all the damage takes. It's exactly how I intended to build a ship for this crash testing test in a way. So it did pretty crazy damage, as you see there. So with the panels, yeah, it just kind of shatters. This looks pretty cool. Surprised the windows didn't do that, but the windows just kind of just blew up anyways. So nice little effects with destruction of that. So slowly ramming it looks pretty cool with the shattering effect as well. Oh, there goes the cockpit. And of course, there are a ton of other blocks to play around with as well. I'm gonna do one more in terms of this test today. So there's also catwalks, which is actually an interesting idea. These things shatter very much like the panels, I believe. And every time I say panels, I mean the interior wall pieces. So even a small little destruction here, a catwalk, yeah, it just shatters right through like that. All right, catwalks at high speed, all lined up. Very similar to the interior walls. So if you line them up, you're not going to get through it. So it's a pretty nice way to stop a ship from crashing through too. Somewhat useful, kind of. So yeah, most of the time I was hoping for it to kind of crash through it and hit that, but it didn't. But that's fine. All right, let's just do one more if we can. Let's just try to make this into a bigger explosion if possible. So that's a lot of big old reactors to play around with. Again, this is a smaller ship, so we could try to aim for the middle right here and see what happens. And wait for the destruction of these reactors. Ooh. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this bit of a test in terms of the destructions in Space Engineers 2. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, drop a comment down below, even to just say hi. And of course, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.